Hello, I'm David Hunt and welcome to Staying Alive, a panel show about ageing queers. And on the panel today we've got, up the end there, we've got the ever smiling, look at that smile, that cheeky smile. Greg Adkins from Anti-Violence Project.
Thanks, David.
We've got Leanne Renfree from
Switchboard.
Hi. And the ever smiling Gordon who is Secretary of
Vintage Men.
Today we're talking about keeping active. Now, really important when you get older, and for our community there doesn't seem to be the clubs and pubs. You run a club.
I don't. Well, the Vintage Men is a support group for ageing gay and bisexual men.
Yep.
And but there's not much exercise goes on there. It's pretty sedentary. Where but it's fine. But
should there be an exercise?
Well, we used to have we tried to introduce an exercise regime into it, but there were 4 people out of about 80 that attended.
Right.
And they just didn't seem to want to get off their bums and sort of do something, which was a bit of a problem.
Because the one thing with the panel here, everyone's very active. Like you do exercise.
Oh, I go to the gym twice a week. I swim 500 metres and do 50 minutes of aqua aerobics twice a week.
Wow. Greg, you swim virtually daily?
I swim daily, I box, I cycle. I might drop and do 20 push-ups any second. I can feel it coming on.
Right across the desk, off you go.
Leanne,
I gym 5 times a week.
5 times a week?
5 times a week, and I walk the dogs at least an hour morning and an hour at night.
How good does it make you feel when you're doing that exercise? And sometimes it can be hard to initially get off your butt and do it. But it's so important because what it does, and it's where I want to move now, is mind alive. Because it really stimulates. It's that oxygen that's going through your body. And I find that when I'm out walking or doing exercise, I start thinking of little projects that I want to do. And would you agree, Greg?
Oh, I'm always taking notes. If I'm cycling, I have something to record my voice and get my concepts. If I'm cycling inside, I take notes. I'm always capturing those moments that you have with yourself because it's a special time. Very rare in our lives do we have time to spend time with ourselves, thinking and reflecting.
Yeah, because it's important that we don't sit just in front of a television or just a computer.
Or a radio.
Well, or radio, sitting in front of a radio. We can
have the radio wherever.
Yes, exactly. Wander around. Gordon, what do you do? When you're at home, do you crosswords?
I do crosswords basically every day. I have a studio at home where I sometimes get into and throw a bit of paint around. I have a 3-bedroom apartment which takes a fair bit of cleaning and looking after.
I hope there's not a lot of rubbish piling up.
There's not a lot of rubbish piling up, no. Only in the study there's a bit of junk still around, but I'm gradually clearing it away.
I reckon it's also, if you've always been someone who's exercised, you continue that on until physically you're unable to do it. So I don't think it's something that you suddenly, start doing. I think there's people who have always been fit and healthy, and there are people who find it very difficult or haven't had that in their lives. Like my parents always played sport, so we play sport.
Yep.
And I think if people go to a doctor who says you need to get out more and walk, it's hard if you don't have that habit.
But you've got to put the effort into it, don't you?
Sure. But see, I'm the opposite now. If I don't exercise, I feel really bad.
Right. And volunteering is such a big part. Are you finding with the Switchboard now that there are more and more volunteers that are retirees?
No, not so much because we're a counselling organisation. For our phone counselling, it still tends to be people that are studying and working in that field.
Okay.
But with our Out and About program, with our older LGBTI people, that group of volunteers is older because they've got the time to do that. But yeah, I know a lot of people that are the volunteer as they've got older.
Because volunteering, like learning a new trade in a way, like doing a little course where it's keeping your mind alive and you're out there meeting other people. I think it's really important. Greg, how do you find that?
Well, it's not just formal qualifications. University of third age is right across the society.
Right.
Many more LGBTI family members are getting involved with University of third age, and it's a chance to meet other people that are progressing their education and going to new fields. It's good fun. And when I'm out there looking for a tradesman, I always go to a retired tradesman and find people that are still practicing their skills and maybe bringing other younger people with them. It might take 10 times longer to get the job done, but it's done better.
Right.
The grey army.
Yeah, grey army.
Yeah, that's right.
And don't you think that it's really important that we do encourage people to, employ people that are part of that grey army to make them feel important and that they are still part of society?
Oh,
If it's not us now, it will be in a few years' time, and you'd employ yourself, wouldn't you, David?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so cute. Why wouldn't you employ me? Gordon, you do so many. You volunteer in so many organisations, which I just find wonderful. That sometimes you actually, when I see you, that you say, I'm tired because I've done so much this week.
Yeah, well, I've been a volunteer with the Victorian AIDS Council for 21 years.
Wow, is that all?
Only 21. And I've been at Joy now for 7.
Right.
Nearly 8, coming up for 8.
Why did you go to Joy?
Because it was one of those things where they wanted to have an older group of people do a radio program. And one of the women from Matrix was there, and she said, well, why don't you do something about it? She was being interviewed by, the chap that died.
Adam?
Adam, yeah. And Adam put it all together.
Right.
And and that's how we got there.
Because it's fantastic learning a new skill of paneling, and it does it just makes you feel good when all of a sudden you can actually do something new.
Yeah,
And I think more importantly, it's really good for listeners to have that range of voices come through their radio. So rather than just men, which probably is still the bulk of announcers on Joy, to actually hear from women, from trans people, from older people, and we need that mix because that's what our community is made up of.
And you see that in organisations like Transgender Victoria, the wealth of talent coming through now, where there's a place for trans people to get out and volunteer and do stuff where they feel safer than being in a more lesbian or gay related organisation. They're out there pushing and working their own agenda that then puts it in front of the rest of us in an equal way.
Yeah, it is so important that there are different splinter groups out there doing all of this. It's such a great topic, this one, and it's something that we're going to have to get involved in. Thank you so much for listening to Staying Alive.
Thanks for joining us on Bent TV. Please look out for Transmission, our special trans series. It starts next week in this same time slot. I'm Alison Menzies. Good night.